How's everybody doing? It's Paul from Magpie 24/7. The day after, well, the very early morning, to be honest. The very early morning after the night before. What an absolute shot in the fucking nuts that really was, that match yesterday. I predicted 2-2 before the game, actually, funnily enough, and I was quite happy with a point, because basically we come out in the second half and we were 2-1 up, but we sort of played for the draw. Disappointingly, to be honest, but yeah, it was just another kick in the nuts, and it's another goal that we've conceded after 70 minutes plus. I think it's been like now like half of our goals that we've conceded are after 70 minutes. We are not lasting in games, and it comes down to both squad management, in my opinion, and also the depth of the squad, given the current injury crisis that's gone on since literally probably day one, since game one of this season. We have had issues with injuries all the fucking time, and again, it just catches up with you. You know, when you've not got the quality of changes to be able, to make from the bench, this is always going to come and bite you in the arse. This is why I argue so strongly in the summer that the likes of, your Richies of the world, the Paul Dummets of the world, with the greatest of respect, great lads, have done a lot for our football club. They're great professionals, but they're sat there on the bench and they're just taking a spot up. They're using wages up, and they're not really offering anything, because when it comes to these games where we need the squad, we need to dig deep in the squad, they're there. And they're not a realistic option to use, because if you were to use a Matt Ritchie in this sort of game for 90 minutes, he'd be absolutely and utterly torn. And that's, as a huge Matt Ritchie fan, that's no slide in him. He's done a great deal of good for our football club. But it's just speaking on pure reality, mother nature, age, and all that sort of thing. The bench was probably the difference yesterday. And you have to give huge credit to the lads who started the game, to had the noses in front at one point. But when you can bring on a player like De Bruyne, it's just absolutely ridiculous. They've got an embarrassment of riches. Obviously the world champions, European champions, Premier League champions. I said a couple of weeks ago when they were having a little bit of a wobble, and I said in one of my videos that, look, they are still the measuring stick. I still expect them to win the league, nobody else. And again, I still stand by that. They are the measuring stick with regards to, club football, certainly in this country. And now they're doing it in Europe and all around the world, to be honest. But they were an absolute and utter just step above. And second half we were chasing shadows, literally out on our feet. If it had been a boxing match, the referee would have called it off. The referee yesterday was another one from the school of, oh my fucking word, aren't they bastard shit. I'll tell you something. Back in the day when I was a kid, the referees were part-time, right? They were part-time. There was no VAR shite. And I tell you something, they were better than these bunch of clowns, because again, missing things yesterday. It's hard to say, if things had gone differently, if refereeing had been better, in my opinion. Could the game have maybe swung into Newcastle United's favour? Yes, possibly. That's a definite possibility, but it's all ifs, buts and maybes, isn't it, at the end of the day? Handballs for penalty shouts wasn't even touched upon, even in the match when I watched it back. I thought inside the stadium that it was a decent shout for a spot kick for Newcastle United. The first goal that they scored, the free kick, I think is a pretty obvious one, but again, they don't get penalised. We get penalised for something very, very similar very shortly afterwards. And again, it's another frustrating refereeing performance. These guys are full-time paid professionals. They've got all the fucking technology. They've got more technology than bastard Captain Kirk, and yet still these bastards can't even get round off the fucking street, never mind round the fucking universe, boldly go when no one's gone fucking before. They are useless every single time. It seems that when you're at the match, there are issues with these referees, and if FFP wasn't bad enough, profit and sustainability, there we go, PSR we'll call it. There you go, we'll abbreviate it down. If that isn't enough of a problem, then the referees trying to keep the status quo, trying to keep the Premier League title race alive and well, certainly is an issue in my book. The referees are... You don't want to go around throwing accusations, but fuck me, come on. They're not refereeing the game in the same way. But you're always going to get that against one of the top 6, clubs and stuff like that. And look, I've got no gripe against Manchester City. Past it as a club, they're not like an Everton, a club like that which you literally can't fucking stand. It's just frustrating, but I think that's probably the watchword for this entire bloody season: frustration. I left St James's Park yesterday, proud of the shift that the lads put in. I thought the goals that we scored were absolutely fucking amazing. Anthony Gordon being a brilliant signing. Alexander Isak, again, you're looking around, there isn't a great deal of strikers about, and you do worry with all this fucking PSR, there we go, and everything. There's not much strikers around, and you've got a striker capable of doing what Isak did. You're bound to worry. You're going to worry even more if we don't pick our form up at some point very, very shortly and then start climbing the league and getting back into some sort of European competition. I think if we can get into some European form of competition, that takes the pressure off a little bit, both financially and in terms of being able to keep the players that we want to keep hold of. Lots of talk in the press, obviously, about losing players in the summer and, reinvesting the money and so on and so forth. The better end of the season that we can have, if we can get into Europe, if we can go well in the cup, then it can help a great fucking deal. So I, at this point, have got everything crossed that we can have a productive rest of the season. We've got this winter break now, and I think it's come at the perfect time, if I'm being honest. It's not like a sustainable thing. There's that word again. It's not. For us to expect that we can run with like double digits players out, we cannot. I said to Kyle before the game yesterday, even with us with all of our team available, it's always going to be a tall order against Manchester City, who've got very, very deep pockets, who weren't shackled by this fucking FFP and profit and sustainability and all that. There we go again, PSR. What we have been. This wasn't an issue back then when they won the lottery, when they got their, dream takeover. It is for us. But even if we'd have had our full strength team up against theirs, it would have been a difficult game. But, I just thought yesterday, in particular, the midfield, I don't want to be picking out players. I thought Bruno was absolutely fantastic. Miley ran around. And Sean Longstaff, who's picked up some grief on social media, the fans were still singing his name inside the stadium. He was trying, he was trying to cover the ground, but ultimately all three of those are not Joe Linton. We've got one Joe Linton, one physical presence in there, one person who, not scared to put himself in and about and impose himself physically on a game. And he's unavailable now for probably the next 2 months. And again, it comes back to decisions made in the summer not to get another midfield presence. It comes back to not trying to sign somebody on the 1st of January ready to go, so we've got them available for the maximum amount of games. It's coming to bite us in the ass. It really does. So as soon as Joe Linton's injured, nobody else can step into that role. But we've got to tough it up, we've got to man it up. We've got difficult games to come up to. We've got Fulham away in the cup now. We're not too bad of a record against Fulham. Hopefully should be okay. Then a very, very tricky game back in the league. Obviously the record in the league at the moment is pretty shocking. You can't sugarcoat it. You can't, shine it in a certain light. It's bad at the moment. We are free falling down the league at the moment. Aston Villa away will not be easy. And then a huge game against Luton. And I'm just hoping that these 2 weeks we use it to, first of all, get some players back fit. The medical team have got a lot to answer for this season in my book. Constantly having injuries, players coming back, playing games when they're injured, coming back out for the second half, Joe Linton, when he's already injured, is just absolutely and utterly... it's a head scratcher for me. It really, really is. These medical staff, we've had huge improvements at the training ground, huge step forwards in recovery, in the medical science, in the medical department, and yet we're picking up more injuries than ever. And it's got to be down to the staff. One's been let go already, and I don't believe it's the old adage, there's no smoke without fire. There's a reason why that has happened. Surely You've got to be looking into why we are getting so many fucking injuries, because it's absolutely ridiculous. You need, when you're spending all this money on these footballers, having Willock out and playing one or two games since last May, it's shocking. Joe Linton's been in and out of the team all the time. Callum Wilson continues to fight a losing battle against, you know, injuries and issues like that. It's just time and time again, everywhere you look. The medical team needs something. They need to sort out their shit. We cannot be running with double-digit missing worth of players. It's literally can't. We have not got the squad. You know, when you're looking at the bench yesterday, you've got 2 keepers on, a couple of Burns and stuff like that, Richies of the world. It's not going to change a great deal in the big scheme of things, is it? And they can bring off De Bruyne. It's just an absolute fucking, honestly, a total and utter mismatch. But look, proud of the lads. Proud that I'll support them absolutely 1000%. Be there all the time, back them all the time. But I think, you know, questions do have to be asked. We have made fuck ups, and whether it's FFP or whatever it is, you know, we haven't acted decisively in the January transfer window to be able to back up. And again, I think a lot of this, and it's right that the pressure's being put on at the moment, all this FFP shit, all of this PSR stuff, needs looking at. The thresholds haven't changed in 11, 12, 13 years, something like that. So no accounting for inflation, increased in transfer payments, increasing in wages and so on and so forth. No, the Premier League have stuck at that level all of the time, and you've got to look at the fact that it is anti-competitive. Look what's going on down at Everton. They're not my favourite club by a long stretch, but getting docked because of interest payments on a brand new stadium. You know, it's just absolutely madness. Aston Villa complaining that they can't invest, and then you're at a situation where we're talking about selling our better players, good players that you would think the Premier League would want to attract and keep and retain the best players. But in order for clubs to progress, then they really need to sell the best players to other clubs, risk losing them, just so you can stretch that money out over a longer period of time. It weakens the league. You're selling star players. It just seems completely and utterly wrong, and to me it's anti-competitive. If you buy something, I mean, look at our owners, the PIF. They go out and they buy companies every single fucking week. It doesn't matter whether it's BP, Disney, whatever. You know, they've got hotels, they've got bloody cruise ship companies, they've got percentages of most companies all around the world, it seems. They can go out, buy a company, and then they can choose what to do, how to run it. It's right. If you buy a house, you want to be able to move in and do what you want to that house. When they buy a company, they want to be able to do what they want with that company. But if you buy a football club, you are tied back by a bunch of rules made by a gentleman's club. You are sort of tied back and held back and told what you can and what you can't do. And it just doesn't seem right, does it? It doesn't fit right that, you know, I think the rules need to be looked at. It needs to be adjusted. It isn't fit for purpose. Financial fair play, there's fuck all fair with it. And to me, it's just designed to keep the status quo as the status quo. It's designed to keep the clothes shop as it is, and to keep the so-called elite super clubs, or whatever you want to call them, the ones that were going to shaft us all over and fuck off to the European Super League, to keep all of them happy and at the top. And that's anti-competitive. You know, you're talking about the European Super League. Oh, it's got no promotional relegation. It's a closed shop. It's anti this. It's, you know what I mean. This is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. And to get up there, it's virtually impossible while satisfying these old-fashioned, these out-of-touch, these out-of-date rules. So it needs looking at. But with the likes of fucking Dickmaster in charge of the Premier League, I mean, the bloke couldn't run a fucking piss up in a brewery. No. He literally is fucking inept. We all saw it through the takeover process. Farcical. He's got to go and speak to the government next week because they're not happy that they've not sorted the new TV deal out. They've not sorted the extra payments for the football pyramid out. He's fucking useless. He's up there with Charlie, and I used to say with Charlie he wears fucking slip-on shoes because the can't tie laces. Richard Masters is probably related to him. He's a brother to another mother. That is for certain. Yeah, Mr. He'll be a clip-on tie him, won't he, or something like that. I wouldn't put him in charge of ordering the photocopier paper. at the Premier League, never mind run the entire organisation. He's just behind the times. It's so frustrating, whether it's referees and their inept performances week after week after week, whether it's VAR, which has made the situation with refereeing even worse because the referee's just hide behind some faceless moron from down at St George's Park. Whether it's the financial governance, whether it's introducing new rules, whether it's a new TV deal that isn't in line with inflation, so it's actually a real terms cut. The man's an absolute fucking buffoon. He's useless. He is the definition of a fucking used wet wipe. And I just hope this cockwomble sooner or later is hoofed out, because he's done nothing for the majority of the teams in the Premier League. He's just after looking after himself and lining his own bank balance, as far as I'm concerned. But so frustrating, because, you know, you look at Premier League spending in total and it's right down, because, like you say, nobody's got the money, nobody's got the budgets because of these stupid rules. If you've got owners with deep enough pockets, you should be able to spend what you need to spend. Whether that's through bonds, whether that's through some sort of deposit you make at the beginning of the season to back that spending up, I don't know. But something needs to be looked at it, because it's just so frustrating. We've got the richest owners in the world with the deepest pockets, but because of Richard Masters' little fucking rule book, we're unable to act in the transfer market when we're literally on our ass. We're on our ass, and it could just be that this season, as a result, is a virtual write-off. You finish where we finish, mid-table, you know, possibly pushing towards some sort of European competition, fingers crossed, and then you come back next season where there's only a game most weeks to play, the odd 2 weeks, 2 games a week, and then you build up again. But it's so frustrating, because, you know, I think if the rules were relaxed, there'd be no doubt about it. And I think PIF have said that, look, we will spend up to the maximum that we can, make no bones about it. But, you know, you're coming up against a brick wall when you're having to fight the system, when it's all just set up to be, anti-competitive. It does not promote a competitive league. And, you know, you've only got to see Manchester City winning the league year after year after year. It's becoming like a Germany situation or a PSG situation in France. You know, where Bayern in Germany win it all the time. Paris Saint-Germain will win it every single time in the French Farmers League. We don't want that. One of the things about English football is the competitive nature, and it is just slowly but surely just dripping and eking and flowing out of the game, in my opinion. So let me know what you think about all that down below. Let me know about yesterday's game, how you felt it went. Look, I touched upon it before. I thought we were pretty much against it the first 20 minutes. Then we came back into it, quick fire double, world-class goals, fantastic. You get our noses ahead, and they're putting the bodies on the line, they're blocking, they're running. Fantastic. Winning half-time 2-1, wasn't expecting that. Coming out second half, and I just think even at 2-1 up, we probably were playing for a draw. We didn't even lay a glove on the opposition keeper second half. It was all hands to defensive stations. I thought the midfield, without Joe Linton, I thought they were all trying to do too much of a similar type of job. The too much similar type of players, to be honest. There wasn't that protection for the back four. And I think Dubravka, he was probably man of the match, even though we've had 2 world-class goals. A string of high-quality save after high-quality save wasn't enough in the end. And Heartbreak right at the fucking end. You know, they get the equaliser. De Bruyne made the difference. There's no doubt about it coming on. Absolute class. And then Heartbreak, I was like, I was saying, I don't feel good. I do not feel good about this. I don't feel good about the defending. You know, the legs had gone. And I'm like, you know, I was joking on my Callum. I was like, well, bring Parkinson on. Bring him on. If that's what we've got, bring him fucking on. Give Murphy a go. Just bring somebody on. But we didn't. And it just wrote. And I think at the end of the day, they deserved the 3 points. I think we would have been fortunate to get out of it with a point, to be honest, despite the 2 world-class goals that we scored. But we've got to take it on the chin. It's back-to-back defeats at St James's Park after the Forest game, and it was better. There was against Forest, it was shocking. That was one of the worst ones I'd seen probably under Eddie Howe's management. But you can't say that for this game. It was just a shame. It is just a shame. The bench was shit. he clearly didn't like any of what he saw from the bench. That's why he didn't make the changes. We lost the game. I think Manchester City deserved the 3 points, in all honesty. But still, to lose a goal right at the end like that, and to lose it, and to lose that point, did feel like a kick in the bastard nuts right at the end. I was gutted. I was devastated. But we roll on. Fulham is a massive game. We need, again, them to step back, and let's hope to use this 2 weeks to get a few people in who are medically competent. That would be very helpful and very nice. We get 1 or 2 players back from the injury list. That will be huge. Maybe Callum Wilson, Jacob Murphy's back out on the pitch. Still no sign of Willock, still no sign of Anderson, no information about any of these players. Questions need to be asked. Where the fuck are they? How much longer can they be possibly out? Get 1 or 2 of them players back at least, hopefully. Rest the current lads up to get them back to their maximums, because I think they desperately need that. Literally just ran out of steam totally. And then again, if we can, we must bring in somebody. We've got to bring in somebody, whether that's on loan or whatever the deal is. We need extra bodies. Whatever the way that we need to be able to do that, to sort that, then that needs to be done. But the powers that be, you would just beg them to get something done, anything that they can do. I know it's going to be hard with the budgets. It's so difficult because the Premier League have stacked it that fucking way. And it does, it pisses you off. It really, really does. It's not against the ownership. It's not against the management. Not like that. 1,000% behind both. But the Premier League are a bunch of corrupt, absolute muppets. Bunch of cockwombles as far as I'm concerned. More about marketing, more about protecting the status quo, and not about promoting competition, healthy competition, and a churn of different clubs being able to be there at the top. So that's as it is. But yeah, we didn't deserve it yesterday. We didn't deserve it. They did more. Hopefully something's going to change over this winter break. And then we go again. Second half of the season, there's plenty of games left to go at, so there's more than enough time and enough games to be able to salvage this season, get back into some sort of European competition for next season, and then set ourselves up for what will be a busy summer. I've no doubt about it. Just touched upon at the end, War Flags display, absolutely fucking great for Fabian Schär. Everybody does need a Fabian Schär. It was absolutely fantastic, I thought, yesterday. What a great signing he's been, and he's obviously signed up now for another year as well. So great piece of business for the club in the first place. £3.5 million, a bargain. You wouldn't get a Fabian Schär these days for £3.5 million. Great, absolutely a fantastic player. Great sentiment, great message from War Flags and the Gallagher end for Fabian Schär. He'll love that, there's no doubt about it. But yeah, just disappointing. It's another 0 points on the board. Newcastle United slipping down the table, but still in the top half. We've still got to remain that optimistic, that we can turn things around, and hopefully, fingers crossed, a cup run would be absolutely fantastic as well. Fulham obviously next up in a fortnight's time. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So subscribe to Magpie 24/7, keep it tuned. Hopefully the lasses today managed to pull off the FA Cup shock as well against Manchester Reds. Yeah, Manchester Reds in the Women's FA Cup game today. Kyle is down there, so we'll have plenty of content on the page from down there as well. So yeah, take care, keep it tuned. I want to get some work done, and I'll speak to you later.